Avant de commencer, juste pour vous dire que Monsieur le directeur général de la ville, Monsieur Serge Tremblay, n'est pas là ce soir. Donc, Madame Reynaud, notre greffière, aussi DGA, directeur général adjointe, va agir comme directeur général ce soir. Donc, avant de commencer, n'oubliez pas que cette séance est captée et diffusée sur YouTube. Good evening, everybody. Keep in mind that the session is being filmed and broadcasted on YouTube as well. I believe, well, we had the thing up, but it's not there. Yeah, with all the little details, mais c'est pas plus grave que ça. Donc, on va commencer avec un moment de silence, s'il vous plaît, si vous pouvez vous élever puis enlever vos casquettes. On va prendre un petit moment de silence. Et merci à tout le monde. Donc, la séance du 19 février, ouverture de la séance, ça prend un vote. Pour. Donc, la séance, elle est ouverte. On commence avec la période de questions. Donc, si vous avez des questions, c'est le temps. You're directing traffic?
Yeah, yes, it is. Hi, my name is Robert Mongeau. I live at 759 Charbonneau.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Robert Mongeau, 759 Charbonneau in Cheline Valley. I live in the protection zone. Now, with all this business of landslide fixing up and everything, I'm hoping no one has forgotten about our ditches, the reprofiling of the ditches, because I think it's a very important issue because there's so much water coming down on my side of the street, which is the north side of Charbonneau, that there are 6 houses that are in constant flooding over the years that I've lived there. Because of the fact Charbonneau kind of stops the water before getting to the river. Now, I want to know, I don't want to be forgotten. With all this amelioration of the landslide and everything that's going to be done, I'm hoping that we can fix the ditches too at the same time. Because houses from 773 to 735 on Charbonneau and 530 and 539 on Cardinal, they have major sump pump problems. They have a sump pump inside the house, and they also have a huge one outside the house. I myself have 3 sump pumps with a generator because I know if the power goes off for half an hour, water's coming in. Now, all these other houses have all had the same issues. Over 30 years, I've seen the house on 767, which is my neighbor, flood 7 times, 7 different owners. Once they've had the flood, they moved. So this is kind of, their house also was built on a little creek. So all the water comes down on the, in between the houses. Some people have even put drain tiles in the back of their properties to get the water through their properties down to the ditches on Charbonneau Street. But the main ditch that goes to the river is higher than our ditches. So we have constant water in our ditches 10 months of the year. There's cattails, there's all kinds, it's like a swamp, actually. And I'm just hoping that people don't forget about us also on the other side of the street when all this work is being done. There are also the same issues on the south side of Calypso, which is the opposite side, up on the other end of Valley Cheline, who's being profiled. When they were building all these houses, we were there, I was walking around. As soon as they dug the foundations, 3 feet of water came in. So they have the same issues as I have. Mm-hmm. And if you walk up and down the streets, it's their pumps are going all the time. So are mine. So I just want to make sure that these areas are not forgotten.
Mhm.
It's very important for me.
Well, to answer your question,
Yes.
no, the project in place to continuously profile the ditches
Yes.
is ongoing. In fact, I don't remember the exact amounts and the details, but we
Mhm.
did budget this year, again, money for a new type of machinery to help us with the profiling of the ditches. C'est quoi qu'on avait acheté,
That's very nice and well.
yeah.
But I've seen them profiling the ditches.
Mhm.
Now the ditches are lower than the pipes that go under the road.
Well,
So the water sticks there.
yeah. Well, I would suggest in that case, if you're having a particular issue with a
Yes.
ditch in particular,
Yes.
I know that our Director General of the
Mhm.
town, he visited already many areas in Cheline Valley. Had taken a rather exhaustive walk, I believe, with Mr. Meads, and
Yes,
they
I'm
went
sure.
to visit
With the
ditches
canoe
and
and
stuff.
with the canoe and the
Well,
water, the
that's
ditches,
something else.
kayak. Sorry.
But it is something that we're always watching out for. But I would suggest that you contact if there's a problem in particular.
Mhm.
Don't hesitate to contact the infrastructure department,
Okay.
and they will look into whatever particular issue you have. As for the general
Mhm.
profiling of the ditches, it is always an ongoing concern, and trust me, we all live on water in Saint-Lazare.
Yes. Also, we all have septic tanks too, so all that water just goes in there, sits on the clay, and pushes toward the river.
Well, depending on where you live, in your
Yeah.
case, yes, you're on clay.
Yeah.
A lot of the areas in Saint-Lazare are on sand,
Yes.
even though there's still a lot of water, but it moves differently.
Yes.
But we live, Saint-Lazare is one big swamp.
Naturally.
And but we are always watching out for the ditches. Again, if you have a particular situation, yeah, don't hesitate to call the infrastructure department and let them know.
Okay, I have another little added note. 15 years ago, like I've been here 30 years. 15 years ago, before all this business started, one of my neighbors, 2 houses to the left of me on the ravine side, decided to cut some trees down and bring in a bulldozer to level his land. Guess where the bulldozer ended up?
Yeah.
He slid down. So you got to take care.
That's what happens when it's not professionals doing the work.
That's it. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur.
Hi there. I'd like,
Mr. Meads?
Richard Meads, I'd like to add to what he was saying. In 2011, I did a petition to get the ditches reprofiled because of the water issues, and that's when I found out about the slide zone and did the honorable thing and made it public. Didn't try and sell my house and slither away like certain people I know. But one of the major problems with the area is that the whole area is soggy. So when you get near the ravine where it drops off, the sogginess can cause it to shift. And as far as I know, I found out there was another slide zone up on Charbonneau a number of years ago. So that made 2 I know of. And the water is a major, major problem. I don't have any problems because the guy who built my house used his noggin. The French drains around my house, he ran a line right into the ditch down towards the hill. So the water just drains away. I've got a fire hose in my sump pit, and it won't fill up. It just keeps draining away. So I've never had any water issues. But when I used to walk my Doberman up and down Calypso, when they were putting in foundations there, every foundation was full of water. And one couple that moved in, the woman was the student of my wife's. And I remember telling her, Kelly, you need to put a line from the back of your house to the French drain, run it into the ravine. First time, she had a flood in the basement before it was finished because the line out to the street had settled with the dirt, the backfill around the house. And then the second time, I had finished the basement for them, and they had another flood. And finally, they took my advice and put a line to the back, and their problem has been resolved. Anybody on the ravine side could do the same thing and eliminate their problem. The ones on the other side of the street haven't got that problem because it requires a pipe under the street and then down between 2 houses every so often to get the water away. And if that was done, I think the landslide risk would be greatly reduced. It's water that's creating the risk.
I'm not an engineer, so I won't respond to that. Not sure what the consequences are of running pipes into the
creek?
into
It all ends up
dans
there
le
one way or
Caillou,
the
all the
other.
work being done and so on and so forth. So I can't really respond to that without.
Well,
I
proper
don't know if that's
drainage
a good
has
thing or
been the
not.
major issue ever since that area was opened up. And for a long time, they put a bridge in that would lead over to the other side. And down at the end, one of the houses is currently owned by Louise Bissonnette, who owns your local journal. And the other one was, well, actually, I didn't know what was going on when I first moved there. There was a lot of traffic going up and down Calypso to that big white house. It was basically a brothel and a casino. And the guy next door was supplying the toot.
Thank you, Mr. Meats, for that.
Well, it's true. That's stuff
Okay.
I know that goes on, you know.
Thank you.
And
for
then
that.
no, I'm not finished. But then for 10 years, there was no development because apparently the bridge wasn't conformed. And then all of a sudden, boom, it really started to develop. And that whole area back there got put in, and most of them are at risk of this landslide issue. How's it going with the yes or no for the agreement? How many people have signed that want to go ahead with it? I personally want it done. I want to see it done. I want it.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
Well, of course.
Good.
I mean, I want that curse removed. I've been there going on 32 years. I mean, eventually in 5 years, I'm not going to be able to stay there. And we want to sell. We don't want to have to give it away. But does this look like it's going to go ahead?
I hope so.
Well, I hope so too.
Good. Thank you very much.
Better convince your neighbor. Some of them don't sign.
I have a personal problem. I'll talk with you on that.
It's okay. We'll keep our personal problems away from the microphone.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Meats.
Good evening. Hello, hello.
Mr. Hill,
Is
you
it
might
on?
want to raise that a little bit because
So many knobs. 1, 2.
hey,
There
ça
we go.
fonctionne.
Okay. Dave Hill, 2547 Steeplechase. Been out of council for a couple of months. You have too. We've all been away, but I wasn't able to attend the last meeting. And I just wanted to, I know you've had your budget, you've released your budget, so I wanted to know if there have been an allotment for addressing the plan director in that budget and making that, or I don't know if maybe that's not a budget item, but is that part of or moving towards becoming bylaws within our
Sorry, I
to-
just realized
to
my phone was still
incorporate
on.
the plan director into our bylaws so that it
Yeah.
becomes more formalized. So it's not just a mission statement.
Le plan directeur
Yeah.
is the conservation is being looked at by the environmental committee, as you know. Whether we need to, I don't think we need to budget money to make sure that the conservation plan is part of the regulations. That should be a standard operating procedure. Meanwhile, we did budget for la caractérisation de territoire, for inventorying areas, and that has been put in the budget.
And what areas does that?
Well, right now,
encompass?
it's we put money into pour la caractérisation du territoire. Mainly was for the area that was west of St. Charles. And that's what we budgeted for, and other areas that were not done before as well in the conservation plan.
So west of St. Charles in its entirety?
The areas that had not been done.
Okay. And that is, as I understand it, has to be done every 5 years? Is that the?
Not sure if a characterization of the territory will have to be done every 5 years or not,
Okay.
but for now we've budgeted to do it in 2019.
Okay. And I'm curious, what is our current percentage of conserved forested area in Saint-Lazare?
So you're asking what is the percentage of land that is under conservation
Yeah.
as opposed to land that is not, the percentage? I do not have that exact figure.
Okay. Is there a figure that is imposed by the PMAD? Is there-
No, I know that the PayMad requires that we keep a green corridor. It was the,
I thought
for
there was
some
a
reason,
set-
40% comes to mind.
Okay. Okay.
But
I'd
let
like,
me,
I'd
for
like
some
to
reason,
know if
40% comes
yeah.
to mind, but
I'm curious to know, since the creation of the PMAD, whether or not we are on track to meet our conservation obligation, or if there is one,
Mr. Mayor,
because I know
Yeah, go
it's,
ahead.
you're talking about zoning, conservation zone or green space, like to zone something conservation. We have La Pinière, that's about it, I think.
yeah,
Zoned.
yeah.
well,
I
there's-
think-
So I don't think there's any
also,
regulations that says that we have to have a certain amount of the territory zone conservation.
I'm surprised because I remember when the PMAD was doing public consultation, on the island of Montreal, they talked about 17%.
Yeah, there were recommendations that
Yeah.
were made by the
I
CMM.
don't know.
Oh,
if
by
they
the way,
were
to add to
adopted.
that is Ivor McLeod Park, which is a conservation area. Or is, I'm trying to figure out if there's another one.
Yeah, a little piece.
There
yeah.
too as well, there's a little section. Wait,
Facilement les zones qui sont conservation à la réglementation municipale. Dans le fond, ce qu'on parle, c'est d'une zone où l'usage est conservation. Généralement, c'est des propriétés municipales parce que sinon, c'est vu comme de l'expropriation déguisée. Vous pouvez aller sur le site Internet de la Ville, dans la portion carte. Vous allez voir le plan de zonage de la
seen it.
Ville.
I
Et
wanted
tout
to
ce
know the
qui est-
percentage, that's why.
Le
yeah.
pourcentage, à ma connaissance, n'est pas calculé, en tout cas dans un document auquel moi j'aurais eu accès, mais vous pourriez avoir déjà un visuel avec le territoire. Puis si vous prenez les zones qui sont identifiées par CONS, vous allez pouvoir faire en tout cas un calcul approximatif.
Thank you. Coming back to the budget, I know I had asked you before if there was going to be a line item to dedicate some funds to creating a map or some form of documentation where people can see what is up for or what is being designated for development.
mhm.
Has there been any?
No, we haven't.
Haven't done that?
No, the only thing we're doing right now is what we want to have is a plan de développement social, a plan de développement as well. So will that be part and parcel of that integrated or not? Not sure yet, but no.
It seems like a very simple thing. Like,
sometimes things seem more simple
Yeah.
than they actually are.
I mean, and I think I want to drive that home. I know I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think everybody in Saint-Lazare deserves to know, because so many people take for granted, oh, there's a forest here. It'll be here for my grandchildren. Well, no, it might be, it might be developed and it may be already, there've been applications to do that and things are moving. And I just think playing this constant game of catch up is not fair for citizens. And it's not a huge thing, you've got a map, what is zoned that can be developed. It just means being explicit about it.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to ask you was the status of the moratorium for development in the West. Where is that at now?
Still existent.
Okay.
A lot of before the moratorium is lifted. Again, we've budgeted a few things that need to be done. We're not ready to lift the moratorium.
Okay. Is there a time frame? Is there a desire to lift the moratorium?
Well, eventually it will have to be. I mean, you can't hold a moratorium forever.
Why not?
And
No, I mean, if the criteria are not, if the conditions are not met,
Yeah.
why?
Well, we don't know
why
yet.
is there-
we don't know if the criteria will be met or not.
Okay.
So I
And
can't answer that question.
so there's no current time frame. Nobody
Right
is
now,
saying,
there is
well,
not a current time frame.
Well, we're starting in the spring. It's also seasonal, like for the studies need to be done at a certain time of the year. So we need to wait for the spring to do some studies. And so, of course, it's based on that as well.
So it's no time frame as yet.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Merci, Monsieur Hill.
Ooh,
Little
okay,
different.
good.
Good evening. My question, Linda Glasgow from Saddlebrook. My
Madam
question,
Glasgow, can you come a little closer to the mic?
is this better?
Yeah, here, yes.
Okay. My question pertains to the Bordelais Bog.
Mhm.
You recently adopted a budget for 2019, and I want to know if you have allotted any funds to do an environmental impact study on the bog.
No, not the bog specifically,
Okay, because
but we have talked about it. And, but no, is there money set aside specifically to do environmental impact study on the bog or a hydrological study to see if it's drying up or in danger or not?
well, we know it's deteriorating, but
But no, the answer to the question is no.
and may I ask why? Because it's been 2 years and Saint-Lazare is mandated to do this
Mhm.
under Hydro-Quebec's grant governance to preserve the bog for its future viability. So we've known for 2 years now that it is changing, it is deteriorating. And my question is, why isn't this assessment being conducted sooner rather than later? We don't want to wait till there's, we can't save or do something that'll continue to protect it.
We also have obligations, money that was given to us by Hydro-Quebec.
That's
And
correct.
one of the conditions was to guarantee the sustainability of the bog.
Correct.
But as I said, has a decision been made to allocate us X amount of dollars to doing a study? The answer is no. But I think it's something that's worth bringing back to the table, absolutely.
And can this be something that could potentially be adopted outside of the budget?
Anything, if we're willing to, you directing traffic again, Mr. Meads? If, okay. That's okay. The reality is that we can allocate any money we want. If the council decides that it is important to do a study on the Bordelais bog, then we can go get money in the surplus. There are other options. So the reality is, yes, we can allocate money.
Okay.
But again, the council will have to sit down, discuss it, and make a decision. But your concern is correct. There is a time. We do have a time frame, and we have to abide by it. Again, as I said, we're committed to certain commitments that we've made to people that have invested in the bog.
So what is the time frame? What is the time frame for you
To make a decision?
Yes.
I don't have one, but I'll tell you what, I'll put it on the agenda for next Tuesday's caucus and
Thank you.
meeting, and then I'll bring it to the table once again, and we'll go from there.
Good, because I'd like to see this a priority. It's something we've worked very hard, as you know,
I was there.
to protect, and it's 2 years. It's not getting better, and we need to find out why.
Okay.
And we're obliged to.
I'm just looking at my notes. I see October 30th, we had discussed it, and that our environmental department was to look at hiring a biologist and to look at pricing. So that's what I have. I'm reading off my notes.
Of October.
Well, you know that everything gets done
Yes.
in the spring or summer, so that was the last note I have.
So
Yeah, but
between,
we never discussed it at the budget.
No, but
No.
But I brought it up.
Yes. It has been brought up, but it hasn't been budgeted.
it hasn't been budgeted, nor do you have
No.
an answer from the environment group.
But I will bring it up. I will put it on the table for next Tuesday.
Thank you, and I'll be back next month to find out what the status is.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madame Glasgow. Yeah, you may want to raise that.
Bonsoir,
Ça va
Isabelle
être plus
Gors.
facile de cette façon-là, oui.
Isabelle Gors, 2813 rue de Ramsay. J'ai 2 questions pour vous concernant nos rejets. La première, c'est quand on a un jardin, on génère des rejets de jardinage, surtout quand on fait de l'arrachage mécanique à la main pour pas pulvériser le jardin. Et c'est un peu ce qui m'arrive. Je produis des rejets de jardinage.
Mhm.
J'avais un tas de compost, 2 tas de compost, mais le voisin a construit une piscine juste à côté. Alors, pour éviter de polluer le voisin, j'ai ralenti le compostage. Mais là, je ne sais plus où mettre mes rejets de jardin. J'ai cherché un endroit où on pouvait peut-être déposer les rejets de jardin sans attendre les collectes à l'automne. J'ai aussi des voisins qui ont des épines de pin, puis ça ne se décompose pas forcément bien dans un tas de compost. Alors, est-ce qu'il y a un endroit à Saint-Lazare ou dans une commune environnante où on peut déposer nos rejets de jardin pour éviter de les mettre dans les bacs à vidange?
Bac à feuilles. Oui, mais les feuilles, on a madame, c'est ça, on a des collectes de feuilles 2 fois par année,
Oui, mais ça ne suffit pas.
mais ça ne suffit pas.
Parce que les arrachages de mauvaises herbes, c'est tout l'été. Les feuilles, on en ramasse au printemps. Vous aviez des ramassages de feuilles le printemps, mais je ne suis pas sûre qu'il y en a eu cette année. J'ai des voisins qui ont des épines de pin qui ramassent à peu près toute l'année. Fait que moi, j'aimerais qu'on arrête de mettre ces rejets-là dans les poubelles ou dans les bacs bruns.
Absolument.
Et il y a des communes où il y a des containers pas très loin de la mairie où les gens peuvent déposer leurs rejets de jardin. Puis une fois de temps en temps, la commune en dispose, mais ça reste. C'est pas dans des sacs plastiques, c'est des déchets en vrac ou dans des trucs en papier qui peuvent se décomposer. Est-ce que c'est quelque chose que vous pourriez envisager pour désengorger nos vidanges puis,
Moi, ce qui me vient, pour commencer, si vous n'avez trop, moi, j'ai 3 composteurs chez moi, donc vous êtes bienvenus.
J'avais comme je disais, j'avais 2 tas de compostage, mais le voisin a construit une piscine, donc je ne veux pas trop le polluer non plus. J'essaye de respecter mon.
Ouais, je comprends.
Ouais.
Mais ce qui me vient par la tête vite de même, c'est que peut-être ça serait une possibilité de regarder, de mettre pas les petits bacs de compostage, là, mais vraiment des boîtiers, comme qu'on voit.
Oui, c'est ce que j'ai. J'ai
c'est
2
ça.
grosses boîtes de 3 pieds
42
carrés.
par 42 par
Ouais,
45.
c'est ça, j'avais des bonnes intentions, mais comme je dis, le voisin a construit une piscine,
Je
puis
comprends.
j'ai des voisins en arrière aussi. On est un petit peu.
Mais moi, j'ai la même chose chez moi, mais ce qui me vient par la tête, c'est que peut-être on pourrait les mettre au jardin communautaire.
Oui, moi, ce que je cherche, c'est
Quelque
juste
chose
un
de
endroit
genre.
où on peut déposer nos rejets. N'importe qui à Saint-Lazare qui ne veut pas mettre ça dans son bac à vidange, qui a une conscience environnementale, puis qui veut que ça soit recyclé en
Pour les
compost.
résidus verts.
D'ici quelques mois, on va avoir les bacs bruns également et
Ouais.
les résidus du jardin vont pouvoir être mis au bac.
Ça
J'ai
dépend
dit
de la
bac
taille.
brun?
Non.
you can't.
Non.
Oh non, c'est vrai, ça c'est parmi ceux qu'on peut pas. Excusez-moi, je vous induis en erreur.
Ça dépend de la taille du bac brun
Ça,
aussi.
ça va être seulement les résidus domestiques qui sortent de votre maison.
Le bac brun, il est là, si vous voulez le
Oui,
voir.
non, ben, mon jardin, il ne rentre pas là-dedans. Hein.
Non, je le sais, mais juste pour vous montrer qu'on a un beau bac
Oui,
brun.
mais
qui s'en vient.
c'est pour ça. C'est dans la même lignée que les bacs
Oubliez mon
bruns.
commentaire, oubliez.
Mais oui, vous avez raison. Il y a certaines municipalités qui ont des places où ils peuvent déposer ce qu'on appelle des résidus verts. Il y a même certaines municipalités qui ont des collectes des résidus verts.
Oui, je me disais, on pourrait les déposer nous-mêmes. Ça vous éviterait de vous embêter à les ramasser.
J'ai fait la note, puis je suis sûr que Mme Reynaud aussi elle prend les notes de toutes les questions à la période de questions. Donc, oui, ça va être une question on va regarder, puis on va répondre.
Merci. Mon deuxième point concernant nos rejets, c'est que nos bouteilles en verre, on les met dans le recyclage, elles finissent cassées en morceaux. Et de ce que je comprends, c'est que ça finit dans les vidanges de toute façon. Il y a une municipalité, je ne me rappelle plus le nom récemment.
M'excuse, mademoiselle,
Oui.
ce n'est pas vrai.
Non.
Les bouteilles, nous, notre centre de recyclage, le centre de recyclage est à La Chute, OK?
Tricentris.
Tricentris, c'est un des seuls que les déchets, pas les déchets, le recyclage est encore accepté en Chine parce qu'ils sont plus que 90% un peu. Pour ce qui est de la vitre, ils ont développé un procédé unique, c'est-à-dire qu'eux autres, ils concassent la vitre, ils le mélangent avec du ciment, puis ils font un ciment qui est plus fort que le ciment. Ils sont très avant-gardistes. Et notre vitre dans Vaudreuil-Soulanges va là et est réutilisée. Cette poudre-là, je pense qu'ils n'en produisent même pas assez. Ils vont être obligés d'ouvrir peut-être une autre usine de poudre à vitre parce qu'ils ont trouvé plein d'utilisations à faire avec. Moi, j'ai visité le centre Tricentris l'automne passé. J'ai été très impressionné parce que moi, je m'en allais là, ces breaks, en pensant que je verrais du monde qui prennent du recyclage puis qu'ils le mettent au vidange puis qu'ils l'envoient, puis qu'ils en recyclent un petit peu. C'est pas ça que j'ai vu. J'ai vu du monde hyper zélé qui croit en l'environnement comme personne puis qui se dévoue au bout pour réussir à recycler au maximum.
Merci.
Ça, c'est ce que j'ai vu chez Tricentris.
Ça répond à ma question. Merci beaucoup.
Ça l'explique bien aussi sur le site Internet de Tricentris, qu'est-ce qu'ils font avec le verre, si vous voulez savoir.
Ok. Moi, j'ai écouté ça à la radio, puis
Oui.
j'ai entendu.
Mais
mais
c'est un fait que
Mais c'est pas tous les centres de recyclage
Oui,
qui ont le
oui.
même procédé. Là. Je pense que c'est même révolutionnaire, peut-être le seul au Québec, mais je ne m'en rappelle pas.
puis M. Chartrand a entièrement raison. On est très chanceux de faire affaire avec cet organisme-là. Définitivement, sont avant-gardistes. Puis, on est très chanceux. Mais dites-les pas à trop de monde, parce que sinon, toutes les MRC au Québec vont vouloir faire affaire avec la même compagnie.
Puis si vous voulez aller visiter, il va y avoir des chances de visiter. La seule chose que je vous conseille de ne pas visiter, c'est où ce qui envoie ce bac-là.
Ouais. Avec un
Parce
masque.
que la
peut-être,
Johnny on
ouais.
the spot, ça sent moins meilleur que le terrain alentour.
Merci, M.
Merci.
Chartrand. Merci, Madame. Bonsoir, M. Nichols.
My name is Al Nickel.
Yep.
I've got my tax bill. I'm not going to complain about the taxes, but the explanation that came with it was informative, simple, and big change from previous years. So whoever's writing them now should keep writing them.
I appreciate the comment, and I will forward the information. Thank you very much.
The next one is, I have a question. The last 3-4 months, every time there's a special meeting, you've got to sign online to be able to attend. The budget, you had to sign online to attend the meeting.
No. The budget was adopted on December
No. The
18th.
people who wanted to come to that meeting had to sign online. It was the same thing for the water. When the guy came from Thermarin,
Okay, hang
made
on a
the
second.
presentation.
Let's start with the budget. I'm not sure what you're referring
No,
to. What?
I'm talking about when people want to come to listen to the budget being presented, they had to sign online.
I'm sorry, the budget was adopted
I know it was
18
adopted,
December.
but
It's a
I'm saying
it's a
there was
public
woman-
meeting.
There was a woman out there that checked your name when you came in for the Technorem or the Thermarem presentation.
The Technorem president.
À ma
Oui.
connaissance, Monsieur le maire,
Oui.
la séance du budget, c'est une séance publique.
Ben oui.
Donc,
Yeah, but,
on pourrait
but you
pas.
had to register online.
Non,
No,
je vais pas,
I'm-
moi, à ma connaissance. non.
I'm not sure where the confusion is, but no, for the budget meeting is a public meeting.
Yep.
It is the adoption of a budget.
Okay.
There's no registration, nothing.
Maybe
People
I
will show
don't-
up here and that's it.
Maybe I've made a mistake.
Okay.
But other meetings, you've had to sign online to be able to attend.
Okay, there's certain meetings, for instance,
Why?
when we did the Technorem presentation, it was to have an idea of how many people are going to be there so we can organize. If we're setting up a meeting, for instance, and we know there's going to be 50 people or 100 people, well, we can do it here, for instance. If by registering online, it gives us an idea of how many people are going to show up. If 400 people sign up, well, we're going to do it at the community center in the big hall.
If you don't register, would you still be allowed in?
Of course,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's all. The last council meeting I attended, I think, was November. I asked you a question about the quantity of water that was being used by Saint-Lazare.
Mhm.
You didn't know, but I got the information from Access of Information, and I know how much Saint-Lazare uses.
In fact, last month, or was it last month or I think it was last month, we deposited a document where, in fact, we established exactly the average per household, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Ça se rappelle comment ce rapport-là qu'on avait déposé, Madame, qui démontre la quantité d'eau qu'on utilise par habitation?
It was,
Non,
no, I got all
qu'on a
that.
déposé ici en séance.
Ah oui, OK, c'est oui,
3 ans.
que j'ai montré à l'écran rapidement.
Oui.
C'est un rapport qui est
J'ai
exigé.
4 ou 5 ans de
Oui,
des
tout à fait.
informations.
3 ans, c'est ça.
Tout à fait, ça a été déposé sur le site
OK.
Internet de la ville par la suite.
But you couldn't answer me how much water Vaudreuil took. You don't know. So I did my own research,
Mhm.
okay? The people in your environmental group are going to have to do some homework, okay? Saint-Lazare supplies approximately 20,000 people with water. They use 2.15 billion liters a year. Vaudreuil takes 933 million liters a year, right? They're taking about 50%. They're supplying 8,000 people with water from Saint-Lazare. I got this from the Mayor Pilon, so it's good information. Then I checked with Hudson. Hudson gets most of their water through the aquifer Vivery. Right? There's 6 wells in Hudson are all supplied from that same zone de recharge.
Mhm.
That's another 5,600 people, okay? And about 1 billion liters a year. I did the same thing for Les Cèdres, they didn't respond. I did the same thing for St. Clair, they didn't respond. At present, the aquifers in Saint-Lazare are supplying 33,600 people with water. That's 4 billion liters a year. Okay? If the population by, I'll give you a copy of these numbers, and
Oh,
I'll
okay.
also send it by
Good, because
electronic.
I was making notes.
If Saint-Lazare goes to the projected population of 26,000, Vaudreuil is projecting a population increase of 6,500. That's another 12, possibly 12,500 people supplied with water. So by 2024, you could see supplying between 41 and 46,000 people with water
Okay,
from
the only-
from the aquifers of
Yeah.
Saint-Lazare. Can I finish, please?
Mhm.
Okay. Thermorem, in their study, mentioned that Saint-Lazare has water for 30 to 35,000 people. By 2024, you could be supplying more than 40,000 people. That could be a problem.
Okay,
I got a few more numbers to throw at you.
yes.
Okay. Hudson and Vaudreuil are concerned about the zone de recharge, okay, because they get a lot of their water from there, etc. Vaudreuil is going to be conducting a water study in 2019, okay? I think the water studies that you do in the future have to take into account what your neighbors are doing, the other municipalities, because we're all pulling from the same zone de recharge, and nobody knows how much the other people are pulling.
Okay, you were
That's
here at
scary.
the when they did we had the techno-rem presentation, you were here?
Yeah.
So you're aware where our watershed comes from?
In detail,
Okay.
and these are all numbers which I got from Saint-Lazare Town,
Mhm.
Vaudreuil Town, Hudson.
No, I understand what I'm
And they're all
merci,
factual.
Monsieur Couture. What I'm saying is that you know that where our watershed comes from and where our general aquifer is.
Yep.
Now, the aquifer we are pulling our water from is not the same aquifer that the Hudson is pulling water from.
No, the zone de recharge, water from there goes down the Vivery aquifer down to the Bassin Vivery, and they get all of their water supplied
Yeah,
from
we
there.
saw it on a map. There's like a high point,
I've
and
seen
then
on the
some
map.
flows towards Saint-Lazare and some flows
Some flows
towards
to
Hudson.
Hudson.
That's right. We
It
saw it
goes
on a
in the
map.
northeasterly direction, it goes to Hudson. And that's where
And
they
that's
get,
what feeds their aquifer
Yeah.
in portion.
so we're all pulling from the same source.
Well, we're not pulling from the same source. It's just that
We're
it's all
re-
coming from
Okay, we're
it's coming
relying-
from the
okay,
sky,
no,
and then it kind of splits in two.
We're
Let's say.
relying on the same source, which is the zone de recharge.
Okay.
Okay? So there's a very big question there about how many people can Vaudreuil, can the aquifers of Saint-Lazare supply?
Okay.
Thermorem said 30 to 35,000. There's more than that going to be pulling water from this same zone de recharge by 2024.
Okay.
I'll
Well,
send a copy electronically, plus the data or the information I got back from the towns. But you need to talk to the other municipalities when it comes to water issues.
I understand. Thank you very much, Mr. Nichols.
Bonsoir, Réjeanne
Bon.
Bilodeau.
Bonsoir, Madame Bilodeau, ça va bien?
Ça va bien. Je voulais féliciter j'allais dire la voirie, là, les travaux publics. En tout cas, le jour de la tempête, ça a été très bien nettoyé dans notre coin. Le fief, Saint-Angélique. Fait que j'ai appelé pour leur dire qu'on les remerciait parce qu'il faut donner les bons coups aussi. Alors, j'espère que l'ensemble de la population a été satisfait, mais dans notre coin, nous autres, c'était impeccable. Même les chemins avaient l'air plus grands que d'habitude.
En général, les gens sont satisfaits. Il y a toujours
oui.
l'exception pour confirmer la règle, mais on est habitué.
Ben, alors, moi, je voudrais vous demander, parce que là, il y a plusieurs questions qui ont été posées. Il y a souvent des réponses qui sont vagues. On demande souvent au niveau des échéanciers. Je sais que vous ne pouvez pas être pris ici comme le tic-tac de l'horloge, mais il reste qu'à chaque mois, on consacre du temps. On vient ici dans l'espoir d'avoir de l'avancement, d'avoir des réponses précises. Le PIMAD, là, ça devrait être possédé puis maîtrisé. Oui, il y en a une couverture de forestation, pas juste des corridors verts. Il y a vraiment un pourcentage de forêt à maintenir. On est les poumons de la ville.
Oui.
Je
Est-ce
sais.
que c'est 40%? J'ai ce
Non,
chiffre-là
je pense
dans
que vous
la
êtes
tête.
trop optimiste, monsieur le maire,
Je suis trop
malheureusement.
optimiste.
Ben, ça serait merveilleux, mais je pense que c'est moins que ça. Mais il reste que tout ça, là, ça devrait être acquis, puis ça devrait être vraiment mentionné et réitéré. On passe notre temps à chercher à gauche et à droite. On n'a pas toutes les réponses, puis à la ville non plus. Ça ne fait pas de sens, là. Ça nous prendrait un mécanisme de suivi, une façon que quand nos questions sont posées ici, il y a des gens qui nous répondent à la ville, des fois non, des fois oui. Même vous, vous n'avez pas toutes les réponses. On le sait que vous avez beaucoup de choses en tête, mais il faut plus que
Mais
ça.
le mécanisme existe actuellement.
C'est quoi?
Parce que nous, on prend note de toutes les questions. Quand il y a une question qui demande une réponse par un citoyen, c'est indiqué, puis habituellement, au courant du mois, le citoyen est envoyé l'information. Donc,
Oui.
exemple, cette information, on va la transmettre.
Oui. Maintenant, moi, ce que je vois, c'est quelque chose de beaucoup plus démocratique, beaucoup plus ouvert à l'ensemble de la population. Pourquoi, de la même façon que les agendas ou ce que vous voulez faire à la session du conseil, à la séance du conseil, c'est tout écrit, c'est tout public. Pourquoi on n'aurait pas plus les réponses aux questions? Là, vous allez me dire, ben, c'est enregistré. Oui, c'est enregistré, mais on ne les a pas toutes, nos réponses. Puis on est obligé de revenir, puis après, vous nous dites, ben, on passe notre temps à radoter les mêmes
Ben,
questions.
votre question concernant les échéanciers,
Oui.
la réponse, c'est qu'on n'a pas de réponse. Tu sais, Monsieur Hill, tantôt, a posé une question
Oui.
concernant le moratoire, puis où on en est avec nos caractérisations, etc. On n'a pas la réponse. La journée qu'on va donner le contrat, puis exemple, j'utilise ça comme exemple, puis au printemps, la caractérisation de territoire, comme qui a été mentionné tantôt, habituellement, ça se fait au printemps.
Oui.
Donc, la journée qu'on donne un mandat à une firme de faire toute la caractérisation, puis ils nous disent, on va avoir des résultats dans 60 jours ou 90 jours, whatever, là, on pourra vous dire, on va avoir une réponse en 90 jours.
Oui.
Mais là, en ce moment, on n'a même pas donné le mandat exemple, donc on ne peut pas vous donner une date exacte.
C'est d'accord, mais c'est parce que ça, c'est la façon qu'on est habitué d'entendre les réponses. Mais si on nous disait, on va déposer des appels d'offres, probablement dans le premier quart ou dans le deuxième quart. Déjà là, ça nous situe. C'est parce que des fois, on a l'impression qu'il n'y a pas d'engagement, là. Je sais que vous êtes surchargé dans tout, mais il faut que ça avance. C'est cette année, c'est dans le budget.
C'est dans le budget, donc nous, on se donnait un engagement.
Tantôt, on a posé la question, est-ce que c'est une caractérisation globale à partir de l'Ouest ou c'est ciblé? C'est pas clair, la réponse. Honnêtement, je ne peux
Non.
pas dire que c'est clair dans ma tête, moi, ce que j'ai
Ben,
entendu ce soir.
Le mandat n'est pas donné, donc c'est pas clair dans notre tête non plus.
Alors, le mandat va se
Est-ce que je peux
définir,
répondre à la question?
s'il vous
Sure.
plaît?
On a discuté de ça avec le comité de l'environnement. On a choisi des secteurs qui avaient de plus de pression de développement pour les premiers secteurs à faire la caractérisation. C'est sur ça qu'on s'est basé. Alors, on a 3 secteurs qui sont visés dans l'Ouest et un autre
Centre-sud.
Mais
centre-sud.
vous n'avez pas peur qu'on perde l'essence du dossier? Parce que si on y va cibler
Oui.
par différents endroits, on va étudier une zone, parfait.
Mais
vous n'aurez pas l'ensemble de Saint-Lazare, comment on doit le protéger, où sont les interactions au niveau des corridors nature,
On a déjà beaucoup de données d'après le plan de conservation. On a déjà beaucoup de données. On a déjà des études qui étaient faites auparavant, qui étaient étudiées. On a aussi, bon, là, on a dit qu'on a 3 zones parce que c'est sûr qu'on a un budget limité. On ne peut pas tout faire en même temps. On a aussi des études qu'on va faire, qu'on avait parlé pour l'eau. On a des discussions que le conseil doit se mettre ensemble pour savoir qu'est-ce qu'on va faire avec toute cette information-là, comment on va lever le moratoire. Il y a beaucoup de travail à faire, mais c'est sûr que c'est pas un processus qui va être vite.
C'est sûr, c'est pas l'idée de dire on va le faire vite pour s'en débarrasser. Au contraire, il faut que ça soit fait de façon professionnelle. Il n'y a aucune
Que ça soit
inquiétude.
bien fait.
Oui, mais les étapes, vous allez aller en appel d'offres, ça va être public, ça?
Mais pour
On va
commencer,
le voir passer, j'imagine?
pour commencer, il faut préparer le
Le
document.
devis. Mhm.
Suite à ça, on part en appel d'offres.
Parfait.
Et
Et tout ça, c'est public, là. On va le savoir. Là. Quand
On a déjà,
vient ici,
on
va
a déjà
voir.
quelqu'un qui s'occupe de. Je ne sais pas si on a engagé quelqu'un, mais on va engager quelqu'un vraiment pour préparer un document, un appel d'offres complet pour faire les études de caractérisation. Puis ça se fait prochainement. Là.
Puis
OK.
pour répondre à votre question, c'est toujours public parce que la minute qu'on donne le mandat,
C'est ça.
il faut qu'on passe une résolution.
Exact. OK. Ma dernière question est à propos de l'excellente nouvelle quand vous avez parlé d'une politique de développement durable. Ça aussi, ça se prépare. Moi, j'ai assisté à Pincourt. J'ai suivi plusieurs développements de ces groupes-là. Très intéressant. Ça aussi, ça prend du temps.
Oui,
Ça veut dire qu'il faut commencer.
oui.
Je
ben,
voulais
c'est,
savoir où vous en étiez dans ce cheminement-là. s'il vous plaît.
encore, là, je me souviens pas.
On a une présentation
qu'on a
la semaine
budgété, Madame
on a une
Caron.
présentation la semaine prochaine. On
Ça.
commence le processus
Mais,
de s'informer, nous, et après de donner un mandat à.
ça. Mais il n'y a aucun mandat qui a été donné à date.
Parce qu'il y a plusieurs firmes d'experts consultants qui aident les municipalités. Alors, ça
Oui.
peut être intéressant d'en considérer plusieurs.
Absolument. Mais il n'y a
avoir
aucun
le meilleur
mandat qui a
choix.
été donné à ce moment.
OK. Mais ça s'en vient, vu qu'il faut que
Ouais.
les citoyens se mettent à travailler avec
Encore,
la ville.
we're committed.
Merci. Parfait.
Merci à vous.
Merci beaucoup.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Rémi Tapp. C'est juste pour revenir sur un point que Mme Bilodeau avait parlé. Dans le fond, c'est au niveau des réponses aux citoyens. Il me semble que ce serait assez facile de rajouter une rubrique ou une page sur le site Internet de la Ville où ça fait juste dire « Questions des citoyens », avoir la séance du conseil où ça a été posé. Il y a eu telle question et les réponses de la Ville sont ça. La réponse pouvant être « On n'a pas d'échéancier pour l'instant » et qui pourrait être mis à jour lorsqu'il y aurait un échéancier plus tard. Je pense que ça éviterait d'avoir des questions qui se répètent et ça permettrait de centraliser les questions à un endroit qui est facile à rejoindre dans le fond et qui serait relié à la séance du conseil. Donc, si on dit « Ah, il y a une question qui a été posée à cette séance aujourd'hui », on sait aller la chercher pour référence future. Est-ce que ça serait quelque chose qui pourrait être mis en place par la Ville? Parce que je ne pense pas que ce serait un coût super élevé ni une complexité trop
Encore,
difficile.
c'est de l'ouvrage pour l'administration, c'est sûr. Est-ce que ça peut être mis en place? Tout peut être mis en place. Ça prend que des ressources.
Mais je pense que c'était fait dans le passé.
Mais
Oui, j'ai vu.
je ne sais pas. Madame Reynaud, est-ce que dans le passé, vous, ça fait...
Dans le passé, il y avait dans la portion du procès-verbal qui était mise sur le site Internet, il y avait effectivement des mots-clés, des questions qui étaient posées, mais par contre, les réponses n'étaient pas fournies parce que ça a été abandonné pour différentes raisons. Premièrement, ce n'est pas requis par la loi. Deuxièmement, ça a causé des frustrations parce qu'il y a des citoyens qui disaient « c'est pas tout à fait le mot que j'ai utilisé, c'est pas tout à fait ça que je voulais dire. Comment ça se fait que mon nom s'est retrouvé sur Internet, mon ex-conjoint m'a retrouvé à cause de ça. » Donc, ça a amené différentes difficultés qu'on n'avait pas du tout à l'époque nécessairement envisagées. Et puis, il y a eu des discussions avec les élus et on a décidé, il y a même eu des discussions aussi à travers le comité régional de greffiers pour voir ce qui se faisait ailleurs à cette époque-là et ça a été abandonné.
Mais ce ne serait pas possible de juste mettre les questions anonymes pour éviter certains problèmes?
Ça peut être une solution. Moi, j'aurais déjà des pistes de réflexion peut-être à soumettre aux élus sur le sujet, mais ça serait prématuré de le faire ce soir. Je le ferai avec eux en caucus.
Vous savez aussi que nos séances sont diffusées sur YouTube. Donc, la question que vous venez de poser est maintenant publique.
Oui, mais pas la réponse. Parce qu'il n'y a pas de réponse pour l'instant.
Bien, là, vous avez eu une réponse de Mme Reynaud.
C'est pas un suivi. C'est juste que ça serait facile d'avoir un suivi aux questions et qui pourrait empêcher les gens de reposer la même question tout le temps parce qu'ils ne sont pas venus à toutes les séances du conseil. Il me semble que ce ne serait pas très compliqué à mettre en place pour faciliter et la vie des élus et la vie des
Je peux vous dire
citoyens.
une chose. pour avoir fait toutes les séances depuis 16 ans. J'en ai pas manqué une. Il y a des gens qui reviennent poser toujours les mêmes questions.
Ouais, mais pas tout le monde.
Même quand ils ont la réponse.
Oui,
Ouais.
mais on ne fait pas des trucs pour les exceptions d'habitude. On fait des trucs pour aider la majorité des gens. Bon, pensez-y, parce que je pense que ça pourrait faciliter la vie des gens.
Merci.
Something came to mind. You mentioned earlier that when Serge Tremblay came over, I did a little walk around with
Yeah,
him.
with him and Monsieur Deschenaux, you
No,
you
just
walked
Serge.
the
Serge- No, I can't walk. My knees are.
Okay, or drive around in that case.
Yeah, I went around in his truck.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that was the day he brought a letter accusing me of spreading propaganda and lies and misinformation. I have never lied or spread propaganda. I passed out little flyers that I believe to be accurate to 10 people, and I did not deserve to be accused of spreading propaganda.
Well, maybe unfortunately, next time somebody hands you pamphlets and
I
tells you
read it before
to
I went around
pass
to
them
8 or
around.
10 people.
Yeah.
And then we handed in a little 7-page expansion on each point, asking for clarification, and that was completely ignored because you knew the little pamphlet we passed out was accurate. In fact, I passed it out, and I'm getting a little tired of being somebody's patsy and front boy.
I'll let you deal with your issues with others. That's a
Well, I'm just putting
that's
this
a
out.
private matter, Mr. Meads, and not necessary to bring to the microphone, sir. I'll let you deal with your private matters.
Fine.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I have a question. I'm sorry. My name's Anne Gagnon.
Can you get a little closer to the mic, please?
I'm Anne Gagnon. I'm on
Bonjour,
Séance
Madame
Street.
Gagnon.
I had some interesting email this evening that you guys are starting Saint-Lazare is starting a new program for handicapped children.
Yes.
While I was reading it, it says from the ages of 6 to 17. So my two questions are, have you taken in consideration that the school age for a handicapped child is up to 21? So why was 17 the age chosen? And my second question is, was the development of the child actually considered? In my situation, I have a 16-year-old and a 21-year-old that their mental development is less than 12 months old. And physically, their sizes are less than an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. Would exceptions be made in situations like that?
Okay.
I don't think it's something you can address tonight.
Well,
but
you're right. I
it's-
cannot address it right now and give you a response. I can tell you that what we've done is we've taken what was called Le Projet X originally, and we will be managing that project here in Saint-Lazare. We've given it a whole different name, as you could see. And then certain boundaries are established.
Okay.
For now, those are the boundaries. Now, if they can be changed in the future, et cetera, this is stuff we could look into. But it's we're new at this, and with a few years' experience under our belt, maybe we'll be able to modify the program. But we're very proud of what the initiative taken by the administration as well as the people of Saint-Lazare, and we're very proud of that. So, but like I said, we're new at this. We're going to see where it goes and how we deal with it. And we've gotten subsidies as well from the MRC for the project. In fact, I've got the protocol on my desk that needs to be signed. But it's going to be an ever-changing program for sure. And I look forward to seeing its progression as well.
Well, as a mom who will be using the services, thank you, because after having the summer camp being available to a lot of the children, it's really going to be good for the citizens also.
Well, thank you very
to all
much,
of
and
you.
I will pass on your comments. Oui, mais habituellement, les jeunes donnent leur nom puis leurs coordonnées. I'm sorry, what was your name and your address? Because it seems that we didn't get that information.
Anne Way on
Anne Gagnon,
Gagnon, sorry.
from on which street? Des Sables.
Hi, Linda Glasgow
Bonjour,
again.
Madame Glasgow.
Bonjour. I'd like to reiterate what Madame Bilodeau said about the snow removal. as you know, there were a lot of complaints last year regarding the trees that they damaged. And I have to say this year, it's been a huge difference. It's very
It's a
well
big
done.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been watching and they're being very careful with the
Well,
crescents.
following various complaints, we won't go into details.
Mhm.
Following various complaints that we received last year,
Mhm.
there were numerous meetings held between the infrastructure department
Mhm.
and the contractor. Solutions were found. I'm not excusing the contractor, but last year he had certain difficulties that made it such that he had a bad year. There's no doubt about it. But again, a lot of these questions were addressed before the winter of this year, and we're hoping that things will continue going on well.
Okay, good. The other thing I wanted to mention, we were talking about posting things on the Saint-Lazare website. One thing we used to have under the Pierre Carey administration, he had a map of the territory of Saint-Lazare. And on the map, it indicated conservation areas. And also it posted areas that had an application for development. So if a developer had sent in a requisition, not a requisition, but a request to develop, it posted, this is the area, and it also shows the phase. So phase 1, request for permit to develop, so that anyone could go on anytime and see in their community, whether it's next door to them or whatever, what the status was. It wasn't something like we're going through now where it's a surprise. You see, you learn of it after it's a done deal. Is it possible to get that reinstated?
You had mentioned that to me, and I did bring it up in caucus, and it seems like no one had recollection of that ever being a thing. So
But
I'm
the
not
thing
sure.
is, it used to be that the city had phases for the development. There was, that might be what you're referring to. We dropped them following the adoption of the modifications regarding the PayMat obligations. And, but of course, we still have on our zonage map, if you refer to that one, you can see where it says PAE. That's where if somebody wants, it is zoned for residential. And if somebody wants to develop, they have to deposit the project. It doesn't say that it's been in the process or not, but it will eventually become an area that will be developed. Also, I think David Hill had mentioned earlier, somebody could have a forest behind their house and think that that will remain forever. But if you look at the zonage map, you will see if it's zoned habitation, clearly it will not remain a forest, it's not protected. Et juste pour les gens dans la salle, parce que je pense qu'on parle souvent en anglais, mais pour ceux qui sont peut-être inquiets du développement de la ville, il y a quand même certains outils qui sont sur le site Internet de la ville, dont les cartes de zonage qui donnent quand même beaucoup d'informations quant au développement de la ville, même si on n'a pas présentement un plan de développement à long terme de quoi aura l'air la ville dans les prochaines années. On a tout de même une carte qui identifie bien les zones. Les zones résidentielles sont avec un H, alors vous pouvez avoir une zone qui semble être une zone boisée à côté de chez vous, mais si c'est zoné H, c'est bien une zone qui a le potentiel d'avoir des habitations, c'est ce qui est planifié, ça appartient à quelqu'un et ça peut être développé. Et ce qui dit PAE, c'est là où on anticipe que, ça ne veut pas dire qu'on c'est pas identifié sur la carte s'il y a un projet qui est déposé, mais il peut y avoir un projet qui est dans le processus ou qui sera dans le processus parce que PAE veut dire un projet d'ensemble.
Okay, and you're saying that such a plan exists on the website today?
That is correct. In
Okay.
fact, Madame Tremblay took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to suggest you go take a look at the zoning map that is on our website.
Okay.
Because it clearly indicates all the zones of Saint-Lazare.
And getting back to what David Hill said about what is the percentage of conservation land in Saint-Lazare, I believe it's PMAD that does dictate, but I don't know if the part I don't know is if you're mandated, but I think it's 17%. And it would be interesting to know what our designation is today.
It would be interesting to know. Again, for some reason, maybe it's something else in the PayMat. I had a 40% in mind, but Madame Bilodeau told me that I'm way too
but there's a difference between
optimistic.
conservation zone
Pardon?
and Greenland.
Oui, ça serait bien. But there's a difference exactly between what is actually zone conservation and what is green right now. And
Yeah.
what the PayMad states, and I'm going to pull it out because I have the binder in my office. It's a brick, but they do talk about the green corridor and the percentage that needs to maintain remain green within the green corridor. So
Yeah, that's
it
the
brings up
green.
some good questions. I made a note,
Okay.
and I think that tomorrow morning it's one of the first things I'm going to do before my meetings.
This was in addition to the green corridor, and 17% was the minimum.
The minimum.
So
Okay.
if we want to set it at 40, you have the
Oh, God.
prerogative to do so.
I was told I was overly optimistic.
Well, thank you.
Merci, Madame Glasgow.
Hi, Dave Hill. Just to follow up on Ms. Glasgow's observation, it was very clear to me during the Kerry administration there was a table. It indicated when there was an application for development, and it stated the process or the stage that development was in, or that application was in, whether it had been adopted by council, whether it had been refused, whether there was a moratorium, all of those things. So I mean, I'm sure, Madame Reynaud, do you remember?
Moi, je m'en souviens très bien, mais personne.
Yeah,
Il y
I
avait
knew
une
you would
résolu-
know,
oui,
so.
il y avait une
I-
résolution. La
Yeah.
résolution avait été adoptée, effectivement, si mon souvenir est bon, à l'époque où M. Carry était maire. Et l'instruction qui avait été donnée au service de l'urbanisme était d'inclure au site Internet de la Ville tous les permis qui étaient émis pour une construction de plus de 3 lots, un lotissement de plus de 3 lots. Et ça faisait, à l'époque, c'était la rue du Clairon qui venait d'être développée, et c'est ce qui avait suscité cette demande-là. Ça a été fait pendant un bout de temps et il y a eu des changements au sein du service de l'urbanisme, en fait, au niveau de la direction, et ça a cessé d'être fait, tout simplement.
Okay.
Anyways, I think it was a very good service, and I think it should be, again, one of those simple things that provides transparency for the citizens. So, I think it would
Madame
be-
Reynaud, donc, si j'ai bien compris, il y a actuellement une résolution qui...
C'est une résolution, effectivement, qui, à ma
Qui-
connaissance, existe toujours. Je n'ai pas le souvenir qu'elle ait été modifiée. Par contre, ça n'a pas été vérifié avec les conseils. Comme ça avait comme un peu cessé d'être fait, ça n'a pas été vérifié avec les conseils qui ont suivi, si c'était de cette façon-là qu'ils souhaitaient, eux, continuer.
OK, c'est clair, merci.
And I just wanted to also revisit the PMAD. I remember in the early days of the implementation of the PMAD, there was discussion about 17% conservation on the island of Montreal. And in Saint-Lazare, I know where you're getting that 40%, because there was a sense amongst council here and other involved citizens that we didn't meet the criteria of Montreal Island proper. You know, if for us to strive towards 17% is kind of it's a travesty. You know, we have so much green space, and I've heard it again tonight. We are the lungs, not just of Saint-Lazare and the MRC, and even the greater Montreal area. You know, so for us to try to follow the guidelines or criteria for the island of Montreal is a failure.
Je suis entièrement d'accord, je pense qu'on est sur la même page.
So I think when you say 40%, I think that's a reasonable number. You know,
I just got to figure out why I've got that number in my head. But like I said,
Yeah.
tomorrow morning before my meeting,
it's not the first time that I've heard that
open up
number,
the book.
and it makes sense. I don't think that it is an imposed number. I think that is something that we, as council, I think it's something you should strive towards. I think it's something that would set an example. I think that it's something that is wholeheartedly more sustainable than just
But I
following.
think it had to do with the amount of green space that had to remain in a green corridor. But again, I'm going by memory. As you know,
Sure.
I was involved in the preparation of that document, but that's a long time ago now.
Yeah, but I think keep that number in mind, because I think it could serve us well.
Merci, Monsieur Hill.
I'd like to get up and say something again before I leave. You're not going to like it. I look around. We have a town of 20,000. We got what? 20 people here, 30 people.
Mm.
We got people worrying about green spaces and bogs. That's all fine and dandy. But there's a lot of people worried about putting food on the table and making their expenses and hoping their car doesn't break down or maybe putting braces on their kids' teeth. They're not here. We have people worried about whether they'll be able to sell their homes in a slide zone. We have people worrying about flooding 6, 7 times. And we have people with 500 to 800 homes that are sinking, like poor Joanne Ackland, who had to sell her house and move. So it's all fine and dandy to go on about cutting trees and saving green space. Sounds to me like a lot of people got a lot of money that want their little horsey farms. Meanwhile, most of what's being rented out now down in H300, that's that's where the people are living, and they're crammed in there. It's so bad in there. There's no place to put the snow anymore unless they haul it out.
Thank you, Mr. Meads, for your
I
comment.
know you don't want to hear it, but I have to
Thank
say
you.
it because I sit there and it just irritates me.
Thank you, Mr. Meads.
I have a question for Mr. Nichols.
Oh,
And we'll exchange.
I didn't know it was a question period from this side of the table.
Well, I think, am I allowed?
Oui, Michel, n'importe quand.
Concerning your numbers about the water, before I was elected, I asked the memo, which now is the Mamesh, how many liters does resident from Saint-Lazare use per day, which was 750 liters per day. And if I compare to your numbers, it's 1,075. If I look at Hudson, it's 2,000 per day. And if I look at Vaudreuil, from your numbers, it's 242 liters per day.
I will send you, I got sent an email to Vaudreuil, Hudson, Saint-Lazare, Lissed, and St. Clair.
Okay.
I got back official responses. I will send those to you. Those are the numbers I'm using there.
Because
Well,
if
like-
the numbers are true at 1,000 and 2,000, I think personally we're selfish with our water. We take it for granted.
Saint-Lazare and this area is known to use a higher amount of water than anywhere else
In the province.
In the province.
Then I think we're not strict enough with our water restriction.
That's why I'm just giving you the numbers. It's when I
Thank you.
got
And
the
then-
numbers, it
yeah.
was scary.
And I took note to bring it to our du jour for this is a concern
It is.
for me.
Yeah, because nobody takes into account what the other people are doing.
Mhm.
Vaudreuil, if they take some of their water out of the river, but they also take in 930,000 cubic meters a year from Saint-Lazare. It's the same aquifers that we use. It's the same zone de recharge that we use. It's the same one that Hudson uses, maybe Lissed and St. Clair. Nobody's looking at what other people are doing. No.
Again,
it's noted.
Before we make any statements, we'll verify
No, you can
these
verify.
numbers.
I'll send you all the
Yeah.
responses I got
That's fine.
from the towns.
Good.
Okay, I got a question now.
Really?
Go ahead. It's not me either.
Who is responsible for making sure that all the junctions, it's visible and safe with the snow piles?
When you say junctions, do you mean like every
Any
corner?
road
Or?
that comes to another road, right? Let's say Cumberland coming onto Côte St. Charles, Grand Allée coming onto Côte St. Charles. Who's responsible for making sure that you can see the traffic? Roxborough or the town?
Yeah, it's a snow removal. It's the contractor, I would assume.
Well, I went through about 4 different junctions a day. I drive an SUV and I could just about see over the top of the snowbank. If someone's driving a regular car, those junctions are dangerous.
Okay.
Who do you notify to get it done?
You notify the infrastructure department, so it's extension 122 ou 222?
250.
250. 250. No, it's 250.
It's 250.
250. So you call the town, extension 250, and let them know that at corner such and such, there's an issue, and we'll go from there. You do realize, though, that this is an exceptional year. So,
We get them. That's what global warming or global change is.
oh, climate change doesn't exist. Mr. Trump said so. Okay?
If you believe
So,
what he says, then.
Not much, that's for sure.
But no, I'd also question why the infrastructure department doesn't just send someone out, drive around Saint-Lazare and look for
They do,
themselves.
they did my street yesterday.
They do, but sometimes, they can't be everywhere at once. So
No.
when residents or we do it also, sometimes we notice an intersection, we bring it to their attention and they ask that anybody in the public, if there's any intersection that seems more problematic than the other, they will address it quickly.
Yeah, the
Because
town does
I
have,
came out of Grand Allée
Mhm.
and looking towards the highway, you couldn't see any traffic coming, even though they've cleared the snow away from the junction.
so advice, like I said, we have somebody in town that does do this. Also, you'll see Roxborough every once in a while in their little pickup truck. There's a guy going around all the time. He's more or less doing the same thing, verifying the snow clearing operations. And anybody who has who makes an observation, we invite to advise us.
And the citizens are the eyes of the city. When something's not good on a street, on a corner, on a park, everywhere, you should call the city and we can fix it if we know it. Monsieur Deschenaux said the citizens are the eyes of the city.
Merci, Monsieur Nichols. Oh,
I have one more comment. Robert from Shilling Valley again. With all this, I have a solution for the aquifer problem. You can come install all your pumps in Shilling Valley.
I saw this one coming. Thank you for that. Okay, donc, période, excusez-moi, période de questions terminée. On va commencer avec la première résolution. Madame Reynaud.
Je vais vous mettre ça à l'écran.
Désignation de fonctionnaires pour exercer les
Il faut
fonctions.
adopter l'ordre du jour. Oui, il faudra adopter l'ordre du
Oh
jour.
non, on n'a pas adopté l'ordre du jour.
Ça va bien.
Ça va mal.
Comment faire ça?
On va adopter